So, we may remember, cast our minds back to Trump's first campaign, back when he was going to become president, back when he put in his initial bid, back, before becoming president in 2016. The three words, I think, that stuck out more than any others were drain the swamp.
Yes.
A very simple promise, and although it sounds abstract and, people can interpret it in different ways, who are the swamp?
Yes.
What are the actual objectives that will mean that it has been sufficiently drained, and so on and so forth. But the point was, of course, that millions of Americans put their trust in Donald Trump as the anti-corruption candidate.
Yeah, but bear also in mind that there is a difference between realists and utopians.
Sure.
And this definitely affected different interpretations of what drain the swamp mean. Because I have heard people who thought that every three-letter agency was going to be dissolved.
Sure.
It was never going to happen.
No, very, very, very unlikely. And what's more as well, of course, Trump's first term came and went, and then, of course, we had the blip that was Biden. And then we came back round to Donald again in this heroic arc where it really felt like the return of the king. And if you'll just indulge the charisma vacuum that is Lex Friedman for a minute, we'll just play this clip from Trump himself talking about what we should expect from his next administration when it came to the Epstein files.
A lot of people are very interested in the footage of UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few
Bit of an echo.
videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Sorry, I don't want the aliens.
A lot of people did.
Why do you think so many smart, powerful people allowed him to get so close?
He was a good salesman. He was, was a hale and hearty type of guy. He had some nice assets that he'd throw around, like islands. But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. They do that for danger, too, because, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But, yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
I'd have no problem with it.
Okay.
Seems pretty clear cut as far as it went. And then, of course, we will all remember this total farce from...
That joke, yes.
Phase 1, that was the release of the Epstein files, all given to online personalities. And not the people that you'd expect such an important set of documents to go to. At least release them entirely to the public. And then what's more as well, these documents turned out to be even more heavily redacted than the ones that we already really had access to. But of course, in the implication of there being a phase 1, it of course logically follows that we might expect at some point a phase 2.
Yes.
We never really got phase 2. Phase 2 just sort of disappeared into the ether, and as the months went on, it seemed that, oh, all right, that's not too helpful, is it? As the months went on, it seems that essentially what happened was Trump became more and more hostile in terms of just taking questions about Epstein. Whenever his name came up from a journalist, from someone in the media, it was always just, stonewalled by him. Yeah. And what's more as well, the idea was that actually there was nothing to see here and it was all very much case closed. And then, thank you. So we had this truth post from him where he basically said, look, the Epstein files actually fall into the exact same category as Russiagate and all of the other grand conspiracies that the Democrats had leveled at him. Actually, what this was a Democrat coup. A Democrat conspiracy.
Yes.
In order to hurt Trump, MAGA, and the Republicans.
Yeah.
Now, this, putting aside the actual questionable morality of this deflection, which is, of course, repugnant, not only in the sense that obviously showing that he is actually going to now become an obstacle to the justice for these women, but also gaslighting his own base and saying, if you dare to be concerned about this or raise this, even though I gave you the expectation that I would be very transparent and just about all this, you holding me to my own commitments is problematic.
That's the thing. He campaigned on it, and then I think it was a farce the way they did it, and especially was that the files and the binders were heavily redacted, as you mentioned. So when you are campaigning upon such a promise, you have to expect that there is going to be a backlash
Yes.
when you don't deliver.
Yes.
It's common sense. This is definitely something that will come back to haunt him, because once they did the redacted thing, he gave the opportunity, let's say, for everyone who wants to attack him to actually attack him.
Yes.
And project their own enemies as Trump's allies, whether they are or not.
You're absolutely right. And so then all of a sudden, you got the Democrats using this to go on the offensive against Trump when it was entirely needless.
Yes.
Well, I say needless. Of course, the fact of the matter is that this is the darkest heart. This is the darkest heart of the swamp. This is where the bog is its darkest, and this is where the mangroves are thickest. And ultimately, there are a lot of vested interests, and some of them I suspect we don't even know exist.
Yeah.
Who just do not want these files to come out. But we know they exist. Pam Bondi told us they existed. She told us they were, in fact, on her desk.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they went from being on the desk to that being a figure of speech, and actually they weren't real at all. And on it went. But all this time, Trump was tearing through a lot of the trust that he, not as a Republican, but he as an individual, as a father of MAGA,
Yes.
had built up, had accrued over years and years and years. And it was just a real tragedy to see. And so when Elon points out here, whoa, I can't believe Epstein killed himself before realizing it was all a hoax, right? And Elon went after him pretty hard on this. And we'll remember back when they had their massive feud, and Elon just said, well, it's because his names are in the files. It's as simple as that, right? I think that tweet since got deleted.
Yeah, but I will have to say here, for people who don't remember, is that people were also criticizing Elon very justifiedly, because they're saying you can't be arguing that Trump is a pedophile and having your own kid going with Trump all the time to the presidential helicopter. So that was also a kind of infighting that did detract from his argument.
Oh, you're quite right. You're looking at two people with massive egos who have both got extreme flaws. I don't take that. But that, however, does not take away from the actual truth of this sentiment.
Yes.
And so eventually what we have now is it all seems to be coming to a head. Now, part of this is due to the fact that Thomas Massie has basically tried to work his way through the quagmire of Congress and the entire Washington establishment, and has basically put forward a discharge petition where basically this legislation can go straight to the House and basically leapfrog the committees.
Okay.
Right? And so the committees were trying to block what has been termed the Epstein Files Transparency Bill. And basically, in order to get this across, and this comes back to the chief flaw of Trump's plan, Massie has worked with the Democrats, right? So all of the Democrats in the House have signed this bill, and basically this discharge petition. And so basically what's happened as well is it needed a few Republicans to get the required 218 votes in order that Congress and the House basically had to vote on it officially. And so Massie has done some very impressive maneuvering here, but of course it goes without saying that allying yourself with the other side, with the Democrats in this, has made him wildly unpopular with very, very powerful people within the Republican establishment.
Yep.
And so I'll just read out the actual names of the people that signed this. So it was from the Republican side, that is. I'm not going to read out 218 names.
Thank you.
But so it was Massey, it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, it was Lauren Boebert, and it was Nancy Mace. Now, each of these people have come under extreme fire, some more publicly than others.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that obviously the one that was most well documented was the tirade that Trump went on Truth Social against Marjorie Taylor Greene, basically saying that, look, this is all just a power play by her. It's because she knew that her numbers were falling, and it was a way to basically boost her numbers, boost her presence. And it's like, okay, but even by that logic, you're basically admitting that what she is doing is a popular position
Yes.
to revitalize herself. So you're admitting the fact that actually there is popular mandate for these files to be released to the public, as you initially promised, that, just last year. And so
Because then we'll finally know what was actually happening with Prince Andrew.
Right.
We'll know what was happening with Mandelson. We know how Mandelson was close to Tony Blair and
Yep.
Alistair Campbell. So this is a huge issue. Epstein has photographs with Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, with a bunch of other senior people in the Middle East. His network was clearly global. And this might explain why they don't want to release it. Maybe it wasn't Trump, maybe it was. But there is clearly a public interest, and it extends well beyond the United States.
Exactly. It's not just compromising for Washington, it's compromising for global administration.
For how Washington as an entity does business, how the establishment as an establishment does business.
Right.
And how it works through Epstein and Ehud Barak and a bunch of other people who were clearly heavily involved with him.
And so then you got this, which I just say, this was extremely poor from Trump as well,
Yeah.
to go after a personal attack against Massey, who recently lost his wife last year, and then has just recently remarried. But again, total ad hominem. No substance to it, no real...
I mean, it's not like Trump started right now. That's how he rolls.
Yeah, I totally grant that. That is exactly
from the
how...
very beginning. It's,
yes, and
But Trump is on his third marriage.
yeah.
And Massey is a widower.
No,
So
I'm not saying
slightly-
I'm not saying it's correct to do
Yes.
so. I have
This is Trump.
criticized it.
This is Trump.
Yeah.
This is Trump.
No, I totally agree, and I'm not. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not bringing this up to be like, my gosh, this is beneath Trump. No, we have, as you say, a large precedent of this type of character. But the point of
It's
it
not
is
sticking anymore.
that all Massey surely has been doing is putting forward the agenda that you outlined in your campaign that you would want to lead.
That's the problem.
And so all of a sudden, why all of this hostility? And so we essentially reach the point where the White House has called in, it says the extraordinary summit gathered top officials, including Kash Patel, FBI Director, Pam Bondi, Attorney General, to meet with Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert, who of course signed. And it says, in an effort to convince her to remove her signature from the petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. And so there has been intervention right from the top to basically stop this from going to Congress.
You know what I think, and I'm analyzing here, I'm not moralizing. I think most probably what's the case with this is that the files exist. They have more than Trump wants to release.
Sure.
Or his administration wants to release. Most probably less than the maximalist conspiratorials think. But what exists there is, from a realpolitik perspective, is a great weapon for Trump to use to blackmail people in order to promote the U.S. interests. So most probably from a geopolitical perspective, that's what he's doing. That's my view.
Yeah, a perfectly valid take. I don't disagree. It could be possible. But what's more as well, so you have on the one side, you have Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene and these people from the Republican camp pushing for this transparency bill. But simultaneously, whilst this is going on, the Republican House Oversight Committee have also just released about 33,000 documents. Right. So this is something that's going on separate, and obviously this is all in the backdrop of the fact that
Republicans or the Democrats? Because I thought the Democrats were releasing some as well.
They have, yes.
Yeah.
They've also leaked some as well. And so, but the thing was that, of course, stopped. So yes, they've released 20,000 pages of documents, basically received from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. But the thing that was one of the things that was most eye-catching was this. Now, this was during Trump's first term, back when the Democrats were trying to impeach him. And you just look at this video. So you have here Democrat, as it says, Stacey Plaskett. And whilst this is going on, judging from these new documents, you can see Epstein texting her in real time as she is about to raise a question during the actual...
You mean Epstein or Trump?
Epstein is texting
Okay.
this lady, and they will come up along the bottom so it's all clear to you. But it's worth watching in full.
This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals.
Let me just read what was
please.
being said. She was texting Epstein, asking him about Rona. She thought it was an acronym. It turns out Rona is the name of Trump's assistant.
Yes.
And she was saying, look, I'm up next. Tell me what to ask about this Rona thing. Is it an acronym? What am I asking about? So she's being instructed live as she's sitting in that hearing and being told what to ask about and what she should be saying. And
Personally from Jeffrey Epstein.
Personally from Jeffrey Epstein. And then she proceeds to ask the questions that Epstein instructed her to ask. So it's about as incriminating as it could possibly get. Why is this congresswoman texting Epstein, and why is he coaching her specifically on Trump's impeachment? So what was the role that he was playing in that? So the idea that there's nothing else to see there is completely belied just by that clip.
Indeed.
Because it means that he was influencing Democrats on key committees about the impeachment and telling them which direction to look in with the aim. And if you go after people's top executive assistants, you're basically stripping them away of their trusted advisors so you can attack them more effectively.
Yes.
That's what's happening to Keir Starmer here in Britain. So this is very significant.
It is. Remarkably significant. And there were many, many other things beside. But of course, amongst all of this, we really cannot underestimate the power of bread and circuses as well.
Yes.
And amongst all of this very, very important stuff here, there was also something that the masses really chewed up, and that is the fact that there seemed to be some correspondence between Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, basically asking for Steve Bannon to ask if there was dirt on Trump, if the Russians had dirt on Trump to Putin. And what we got is here, if you can see the sentence, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Now, just to make the point, this has 60 million impressions, right? And so irrespective of the validity of this, and I will just say as well that Mark Epstein has since come out and said this was a private joke, this was not actually what the inference was. Bubba is not Bill Clinton, right, is what they're saying, but he doesn't say who it actually was then.
It was blowing someone else called Bubba? Like, it's insane.
It's insane.
And without more background...
Yeah, but also the question is if you believe it.
Well, the point...
I mean-
I understand, and I've been asking my question. I've been asking myself that question all morning, to be honest with you. But the point is, Stelios, not so much whether it is true, but of course whether or not people believe it, and whether or not they are going to hound him about it.
And the subsequent point is, this only goes away with a little bit more clarity because there is evidently more there. So the initial claim that was made by Trump that there's nothing there to see, there's nothing there that's worth examining, that doesn't stand on very much because there's clearly something there. And as Nevermore comments here in the chat, Bannon has, I think, 10 hours, not 15 hours, of video with Epstein, where he was talking to Epstein and helping him and so on. Like, that's also a question. What is everybody's relationship to this guy?
Absolutely.
I mean, we are talking about power
Sorry,
networks.
can you try reload that
We are
link for
talking
me,
about
Harry,
power
please?
networks. People meet other people, loads of other people in these networks. I mean, you
Yes.
have... If you look at the documentaries about serial killers, for instance, you will see some of them being with politicians, taking
Sure.
photos together. I think
Absolutely.
who was one of a really fat serial killer?
I'm sure.
I don't remember. Yeah, but some of them were with Democrat politicians, other with Republican. I think Ted Bundy was with a Republican. The other guy was with a Democrat. It happens, but you never know. That's so.
But you
All it
still-
means is speculation now.
Right.
But exactly.
And this will never go away to a degree. Even if now they release extra files,
Yes.
and we have more people, there will still be an element.
So there are 2 points to make.
There will still be people who will say we don't know the whole truth.
There are 2 points
It's
to make.
all right,
One of
Harry,
them
it's
is that
clearly
people
not
will
working.
still believe something was not released, no matter how much is released. The other point is that there is clearly something there that should be released, and anybody associated with Epstein, even if they're just moving within these power networks, should be asked. So Robert Kennedy says that yes, he flew with Epstein twice, and he says on both occasions it was with my family, and there was nothing untoward's going on. Okay, fair enough. That is moving in power networks. Fair enough. But is there something more with other people? Clearly, this was the basis of Epstein's whole operation.
No, there should be a push for accountability.
Exactly. And the
I'm not
fact that
saying
Ghislaine
otherwise.
Maxwell is alive
Yeah.
and that she hasn't been asked, okay, you were convicted apparently for facilitating prostitution. The subsequent question is, who are your clients?
And given that one of the most important witnesses in all of this, Virginia Guthrie, just so happens to have died earlier on this year,
Yeah.
that complicates things a little bit as well. But you can see this from only earlier on this weekend, where Trump, again, was just being absolutely intransigent
Yes.
on the Epstein files and was just saying, I don't want to talk about it because fake news like you're a terrible reporter, fake news like you just keeps bringing up to deflect from the tremendous success of the Trump admin. But the thing is that there was also, Massey was saying, he potentially had 100 Republicans
Right.
in Congress, in the House, who were going to basically vote with him on this bill. And so Trump has now tried to get ahead of this and actually give it his blessing. This, from what I can tell, are the reasons why this swing has happened.
Yep.
Because this seems to have been going on with or without his blessing at this point. And so, like anything, once that's the case and once you can see where it's going, you've got to get on the inside of it. You've got to be at the helm because you've got to control the trajectory.
Here's my take on this. Anybody who's leading the system is stuck protecting the system, whether they like it or not.
To a degree, yeah.
Yes. And it's obvious that Kash Patel and people like that have fallen hostage to the systems that they run. And you see that with the fact that nothing is released about the attempted assassinations on Trump. We don't know anything else. We don't know about the second guy's connections to Ukrainian intelligence. We don't know what was going on there. We don't understand how the Secret Service failed to protect Trump in the first assassination, where they hit him in the ear. So there's clearly a big problem going on at the level of the ability of Trump's people being able to control the agencies that they run. Now this has run away from his control. And so he's stirred from trying to protect the system to, okay, it'll burn down and I'll still come out on top somehow.
I think that, personally, I think that to a very large extent he will do it and people will believe him. Because let us not forget that he nearly died, and he took a bullet for it, and
Yes.
then he stood out and said, "Fight, fight, fight." This isn't in the eyes of most people and the general public, this isn't the behavior of someone who is risking his life just to protect the swamp. Most people will see this as
Yes.
a person who is in a very dirty world, because politics is a dirty world, and is trying to have their back.
Yeah.
Now, I think that to some extent, the audience of the main support for Trump and the audience for Trump has stuck with him with this behavior ever since the very beginning.
Yes.
So we do know him, for instance, instead of answering to questions, trashing the people asking them.
Yes, yes. But his whole coalition, you're going to cover that in your segment, so we'll talk about that in a second.
Well, then just to round off by saying, look, we never thought for a second that the quest for basically transparency and getting the Epstein files out would be easy, and certainly not simple. But I don't think any of us were quite prepared to go from we're going to release some to they don't exist to we're going to release some.
Yes.
And this is really... So it's obviously going to be apocalyptic if it comes, as you say, for not just the American establishment, but as you inferred, many establishments around the world. And so I suppose we'll just brace for it, and hopefully truth will out.
Yep.
If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.